what I intended. I had been elected in 2016. My fellow Americans, today you sent a message to the whole world. Everybody will be knocked down. The question is, will you get back up? I want to share my life lessons with the hope that it might help you as you navigate your own life. I made so many gaffes and mistakes. There are steps you can take to build confidence in yourself, to begin to trust yourself about the decisions you will make. This class is for anyone at any age who wants to think about building a life of meaning and purpose, of having a mission that captures what you're willing to stand up for. Everyone, every one of you has the ability to be resilient. I've been, reduced to tears. I've been frustrated beyond words, but the lesson that I've learned about getting back up after setbacks or disappointments is to first feel the disappointment. Don't pretend it didn't happen. It did. You have to authentically dig deep to get back up. I'm Hillary Rodham Clinton, and this is Masterclass.
Экономи, люби, береги, цени свои деньги. Первая платформа личных финансов. Финуслуги от Moex Group.
Share with you my personal warm-up routine that I do every day when I start practicing before I get into the actual pieces. My warm-up routine has actually changed a lot throughout the years. It used to be much longer when I was younger, but now throughout time I've basically selected my personal favorite exercises that work best for me and that I find most effective, because I don't always have half an hour or 1 hour just to warm up. I need to do it faster. So I selected my personal favorites, and what I'm going to show you today. It is always very important to warm up, especially if you're playing technically demanding stuff. You can kind of compare it to running a marathon. You wouldn't do that without doing any warm-up before, and it's the same when you play piano. You can definitely injure and badly hurt yourself if you just dive into the very hard repertoire without warming up. So I would definitely recommend warming up on an everyday basis and doing at least some little exercises before you start playing the piece, even if you don't have that much time. In addition to warming up, another thing that I do to make sure that my muscles and arms and fingers feel good and fit is I stretch and take practice breaks. So I stretch like this, for example, like this. But this is something that I'm not going to focus on in this video. This video is all about just the warming up exercises. The very first thing that I do every day when I sit down at the piano is the following exercise. exercise just helps me to activate my wrists and also makes me focus on always being relaxed in the wrist area. Because for me, one of the main dangers and problems when things get hard is that I get some tension. That's why I start out with this to just get some nice flexibility and relaxation in the wrist area. The next exercise that I do is one that focuses on the agility. This is something that I'm not going to focus on in this video. This video is all about just the warming up exercise. The very first thing that I do every day when I sit down at the piano is the following exercise. This exercise just helps me to activate my wrists and also makes me focus on always being relaxed in the wrist area. Because for me, one of the main dangers and problems when things get hard is that I get some tension in my wrist, and this is definitely something you want to avoid. That's why I start out with this to just get some nice flexibility and relaxation in the wrist area. The next exercise that I do is one that focuses on the agility of the fingers, and it always alternates between slow and fast.
Прости, конечно, я перебиваю твой ход их мыслей, но наоборот, да, нет, понял. Да, ну, наверное, так.
It basically just makes you feel more independent in every single finger, even if you haven't played anything yet. The next one is a trill exercise. What you do there is you go through every possible fingering of a trill. So I start with 1, 3, 2, 4, 3, 5, 4, 5, 3, 4, 2, 3, and then back to the thumb. And I do that in different constellations. So, for example, I will start with a white key and a black key. Then I'll do a black key and a white key. Then I'll also do thirds. Just use these different positions to also activate my muscles.
Digital education has become highly resourceful to future generations, as it allows you to continue your education with freedom and mobility. The ability to combine your education with professional opportunities.
The next exercise is also gearing towards creating that is to also activate my muscle. 3, 4, 2, 3, and then back to the thumb. Every possible fingering of a trill. So I start with 1, 3, 2, 4, 3, 5, 4, 5, 3, 4, 2, 3, and then back to the thumb. And I do that in different constellations. So, for example, I will start with a white key and a black key. Then I'll do a black key and a white key. Then I'll also do thirds. Just use these different positions to also activate my muscles. The next exercise is also gearing towards creating that independence between the fingers, because in the end, it's all about having a great independence. This is one where I press one key and all fingers should be relaxed, and only the finger that is playing another key repeatedly is the only should be active. So when I started this exercise, of course, it was much slower, and also the finger used to, for example, if I played third finger, then my entire fifth and fourth finger would move like that. Now I've kind of come to the point where I play the third finger, and then the fifth finger is kind of relaxed, and I just move the fourth one. And after these exercises, I start with some scale exercises. Something that I try to do is play a different scale every day. Often, if I play a piece that is in a certain key and that has many scales, I choose that key and repeat that for 2 or 3 days. Or if I'm playing it in concert, on the concert day, I will practice that scale. But other than that, I usually try to play a different scale every day, so that in a month, I play each scale at least twice. So today, I chose C minor, and all the exercises for the scales will be in C minor. When playing scales, the most difficult moment is when your thumb goes under the other fingers, and to create an even scale, you have to create this transition very evenly. That's the hardest bit. So the exercises all focus on that moment. So my first exercise is the one where I play the thumb separately and then the other fingers together while moving my wrist up and down. The next exercise is to always play until the second finger and then have this thumb cross under it and play the key that it's supposed to get to once that transition comes. slowly for 1 octave, then double tempo for 2 octaves, then triple tempo for 3, and then 4 times for 4 octaves. So the next exercise that I do is play the scale slowly for 1 octave, then double tempo for 2 octaves, then triple tempo for 3, and then 4 times for 4 octaves. The next thing that I do is practice arpeggios. And again, while playing arpeggios, especially ones that go over several octaves, the difficult bit is when the thumb goes underneath the other fingers and again creating that transition in a smooth way. So all my exercises are geared towards that. Then I practice chords, first with 3 voices and then with 4 voices. And in the end, I practice the chromatic scale, first playing the same note in both hands. And then also playing with just the third part. This can be very useful because many pieces actually use chromatic scales that are just third part. For example, recently I played Beethoven's Triple Concerto. In the opening of the piano part, you immediately have a triple chromatic scale that is just the third part, which actually is quite uncomfortable to play, but if you do it every day, it's just very natural for you and you don't even think about it. And then at the very end, I try to stretch my fingers, so I play and in the end, I practice the chromatic scale, first playing the same note in both hands. And then also playing with just the third part. This can be very useful because many pieces actually actually use chromatic scales that are just a third part. For example, recently I played Beethoven's Triple Concerto. In the opening of the piano part, you immediately have a chromatic scale that is just a third part, which actually is quite uncomfortable to play, but if you do it every day, it's just very natural for you and you don't even think about it. And then at the very end, I try to stretch my fingers, so I play the biggest possible interval that I can actually play, which for me is 11 keys. So I'll play C, F, B, and so on. And then I'll play 10 keys together. Yes, so this is my warm-up routine. I really hope you enjoyed it and got some useful exercises for you that you might want to try out. Also, it's important to keep in mind that when I started out these exercises, of course I was playing them much slower, and only because I've repeated them for years and years and years is it comfortable for me to play them quite fast already when I wake up and begin. But when I was younger, of course, the chromatic scale and the normal scales and the trill exercise and all these things that I showed you were much slower and took much more time. But like with all things, the key here is repetition and consistency, just doing it every day, doing it again and again, and it's going to become easier and feel more comfortable, and in the end, it's just going to be very natural for you. And if you have any other exercises that you do that I didn't mention, but that you find very helpful, please let me know about them, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye!
Very good.
А вам Дед Мороз тоже принесет подарки? Ну, конечно, принесет самые лучшие. Этот маме, а этот папе.
Grade 4 Oral, Section A. Here's a melody for you to repeat. I'll play it twice. There'll be a key chord and the starting note, then a count 10. Then you'll hear the melody, a break, and then the melody again. After that, just sing it back. There are 10 examples at different tempos and in different keys. Okay.
Appreciated you, amen. I'm okay. Very good. Very good. Чеснок. Чеснок. Ginger, man. Very кислый. Еще такое говоришь мне, щебрешь ты, где тебе нахер щебрешь? Андеркиндом. You are mine. Моя. Вика. Как жить ты вообще просто не следишь? Что, беременеть у вас не получается, что ли? Куда вообще? Вот это он не может быть. Наоборот, просто поэтому. Пи-пи-пой, пи-пи-пи. Мама. Эй, Оленький. Тинтинг.
Новогодняя распродажа беспроводные наушники JBL всего за 999 рублей.
Hi and welcome. This is a video. Very first question in grade 8 oral, the melodic repetition one, where the examiner plays a 3-part phrase and you have to sing back the lower part. Now this video is made up of question Jones. Good luck with your exam, which is looming, I think. Let's have a look. The test looks like this. I'd like you to repeat the lowest part of a 3-part phrase. Would you prefer to sing it or play it? And I imagine most people will say they want to sing it. I'll play it twice. Here is the key chord and your starting note. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. that's what will happen. Now let's dig in a little bit and let's explore ways in which we can work on that. I'm going to do two examples with you now that I'm going to break down. We're going to do it in two chunks. I shan't read out that example and break stuff again. I'll need you to become familiar with that. So let's take another example. Here's a key chord. You need to ask yourself if it's major or minor. And all the notes in that part will be part of the diatonic scale. So try and quickly get that scale into your head. For minor, it's a bit more complex because there could be elements of melodic minor or harmonic minor, so just be aware of that. So you're going to chord. I'm going to play a 4-bar phrase, most of them are about 4 bars long, and play the whole thing. And then I'm going to do half of it twice through for you to have a go at. Let's see how you get on. So here it is. Keyboard, you're thinking that note, that is your starting note. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now let's just look at the first half. I'm just focusing on that first half. You got it? You have your hand over the pause button and the space bar. Now the second half, I'll play it through twice. Here is the whole thing now. How you doing? It should have been this. I'm wanting to give feedback on how you're getting on, because that would be completely futile. Let's try another one exactly the same way. Here's a key chord, and your starting note. Here's all of it first of all. 1, 2, 1, 2. Let's just do half of it twice through. One more second time. The second half.
QIWI-M6060L professional phone.
Keep pausing the video to give yourself a chance to think about it. Now the whole thing. Here's what it should have been. Now I'm going to do 5 or 6 of these, doing the whole thing. And what I'm going to do is exactly get it through, play through twice. If you need a third time in the exam, you can ask for that. It will affect you. So I'm going to do it twice now. I will then do it a third time, and I'll whop out artificially the left hand. The examiner wouldn't do that. And then I would play it on its own. Then you get a chance to work at home and see how it will actually get the answer as well. So let's just battle through a few. Your key chord, E major, and your starting note. One, two, one, two. How did it go? I wish the camera could give me some feedback. One idea, you know in the exam you're going to get it through twice. Perhaps the first time, just latch on to the first half of it. And then try and make your brain sort of forget about what's coming. If you try and do the whole thing in one go, that can be a bit, if you try and remember the end and you've forgotten the beginning. So that's the first thing, work on the first chunk. And then the second time, go through that in your mind and then really focus on the second. Let's try it on. One, two, three, one, two, three. Another one. G chord. Starting note. One, two, one, two. Let's just do two more. Key chord. This example is an interesting one because I'll tell you now it's got hints of melodic minor. There's some crunches here. It could sound it's quite tricky. So it could be a good one for just really speaking into two halves. Can I get the first bit? Starting note. One, two, three, four. One, two, three, four. one more. One, two, one, two. So, James, and anybody else who's watching this video, I hope you found that helpful. A bit of practice, a bit of thinking about it. What key am I in? Can I really latch onto that, that starting note? Perhaps hum the scale. Perhaps use your memory to memorize it in chunks. Good luck. And if you need any more practice, the Associated Board do produce some materials as well as CDs, and I suspect there's probably an app. So I ought to have looked at that before. Best of luck. Any more help, please let me know. Take care. Goodbye.
Whether you're in school or at the hospital, every medical student knows it's next to impossible to retrieve all necessary information related to important medical concepts. Good thing Lecturio created concept pages. Think of them like a flashcard meets wiki page, providing you with a review of medical concepts, from symptoms to diagnosis and treatment. Concept pages combine different learning formats, including high-yield text, world-class videos, detailed images, and concept-related USMLE-style questions. Sounds great. right? Don't wait. Create your free account today and begin mastering complex medical concepts with Lecturio's concept pages. Lecturio's concept pages. When you need answers at your fingertips.
Now never time to leave my perfect world behind. Lock me in that joke and hold the river. Will you lead me to my freedom? The only reason I'm here is to find my place.
Well, we're welcoming back Lindsay from Friendly Pharmacy 5. Now, we've just talked to the Canadian citizen. We're now talking to Lindsay, the scientist. And I think you wanted to update us on mouthwashes to start off with, Lindsay.
Yes, so in previous interviews with you, John, we've talked about mouthwash in general as being one of our tools in our pandemic toolbox to help prevent or reduce viral load and help prevent severe COVID-19. So the study that we had talked about was out of Brazil, and it's a company, it's a university, the University of São Paulo, research product called Protalux that has now been made into a product produced by a company called Dental Clean. Now, I do not have any interest in this company whatsoever, but I did report on their study, and
You've been talking to their scientists, haven't you?
I've been talking to Dr.
Понять, сколь согревает это исключение Грету Тунберг и Анналену Бербок. Может, и им обратить все же внимание на такую угрозу всему живому, как ядерная война? А то иногда все же кажется, что зеленые говорят не о том, или, по крайней мере, неоправданно заужают свою повестку. Тем временем Запад накачивает Украину оружием и обучает его применять. Поставляют беспилотники, вертолеты, противотанковые ракеты. В среду украинский телеканал «Дом» сообщил, что в Донбассе в зоне проведения силовой операции украинские военные впервые с использованием американских противотанковых ракетных комплексов «Джавелин». Пока на учебном полигоне. Командующий украинской операции Александр Павлюк сообщил, что все расчеты, которые работают с этим оружием, прошли обучение и готовы выполнять боевые задачи. То есть явная подготовка к силовому решению в Донбассе. Судя по всему, применение джавелина в бою не заставит себя ждать. Еще одна удивительная новость пришла из украинского совбеза. Его секретарь Данилов прямо ошарашил. Украина не обязательно будет исполнять будущие российско-американские договоренности.
Каким бы ни был итог этих переговоров, ничего не получится, если его не признают украинцы. Невозможно заставить нас встать на колени, если так решили важные люди.
Но это не единственный заготовленный сюрприз. Американские частные военные компании готовят в Донбассе провокации с применением химических компонентов. В Москве об этом известно.
Достоверно установлено присутствие 120 сотрудников американских частных военных компаний в населенных пунктах Авдеевка и Приазовская Донецкой области. Они оборудуют огневые позиции в жилых домах и на социально значимых объектах, осуществляют подготовку украинских сил специальных операций и радикальных вооруженных группировок к активным боевым действиям. Для совершения провокаций В города Авдеевка и Красный Лиман доставлены резервы неустановленного химического компонента.
Наш спецкор в Донбассе Григорий Вдовин передает.
Стреляли как в кролика, я бегала, пряталась, они видели, смеялись.
С Викторией Николаевной мы беседуем в приемном отделении больницы Петровского района Донецка, куда только что доставили ее мужа. По нему также стрелять, видимо, ради забавы, из подствольного гранатомета, когда он шел на работу.
Поступил с множественными осколочными ранениями грудной клетки, конечностей, брюшной полости, головы.
Все произошло здесь. Жизнь на улицах поселка Александровка могла бы казаться мирной, но соседство с русскими войсками не дает расслабиться ни на минуту. Последний обстрел произошел уже после того, как Украина подтвердила прекращение огня на очередное так называемое новогоднее перемирие. Бойцы народной милиции ЛНР недалеко от передовой строятся в одну шеренгу по не совсем военному поводу. Дети республики передали целую коробку поздравлений, рисунков и поделок. Частичка тепла родного дома в окопе может и помочь, и согреть, даже от школьника, которого никогда не видел.
Он не знаком для меня, но оно приятно, потому что даже всех бойцов, получается, воспринимают как себе родных.
Донецк и Луганск ждут решения своей судьбы уже не один год. И, конечно, неопределенность радовать не может. И то, что прозвучало на большой пресс-конференции российского президента, здесь услышали и зафиксировали.
Важным является это то, что судьбу Донбасса должны решать люди, которые проживают на Донбассе. Это очень четко пересекается с теми устремлениями, которые у нас были, которые у нас остаются с 2014 года. Украина с прошлым руководством видела и понимала, что такое котлы и что такое терпеть военные поражения. Сейчас же ситуация поменялась. Поменялся уже президент, поменялось руководство в Министерстве обороны Украины, и они, возможно, рассчитывают на какой-то результат. Это ошибочные мнения, ошибочные впечатления.
Иловайск, Изварина, Дебальцево этих городов стали нарицательными. Обозначают они окружение и уничтожение украинских группировок. Именно на этих полях украинские солдаты потеряли.
Сегодня вам сколько получилось сэкономить на покупках онлайн с расширением buyers.com. Первый шаг. Мы загружаем расширение для браузера buyers.com и добавляем в корзину выбранный вами товар, который вы хотели бы купить. В корзине появляется вот это.
Проверить коды.
Нажимаем на кнопку, и расширение автоматически выбирает лучший купон для нашего заказа, то бишь промокод. И в конечном итоге вы увидите вот это. Информацию о том, сколько вам удалось сэкономить. Это расширение работает во многих интернет-магазинах с косметикой, доставкой еды или электроникой.
Чего бы я хотел себе в подарок на Новый год? Так, школа английского English. У меня уже есть. И английский я знаю. Точно, я хочу научить вас английскому всего за 2 часа на моем бесплатном вебинаре для новичков. Регистрируйтесь. Ссылочка внизу.
I'm going to pause once, listen and tell me the time signal about the dynamics and articulation.
I thought that was in common time, 4/4, with a bit of a written end. Articulation was staccato when you were jumping off on the left hand, and then a longer note, normally, and with unison passages in the right hand jumping down. And it was mainly auto, but with when you're having a call and response part, we normally quiet piano into forte, into the main notes.
Okay, I'm going to play the piece twice more. Listen, then tell me about three other characteristics.
It was more of an ABA structure, which is ternary form, if I remember right. We all had unison passages with right and left hand, and then the jumping intervals, which were sometimes perfect fifths and fourths, and sometimes more diminished, larger intervals, and then back into the unison passages at the end, which were just in octaves. It was quite a thin texture. Things were just either in unison octaves or just one line moving with a jumping interval, which was changing.
Here is a copy of the piece. I'm going to play it twice more with three changes. The changes may be for the pitch or rhythm. Tell me or show me in which bars the changes happened and what they were. Again.
I thought you took too long. Bar 11, that was 5 beats between the D flat and the C sharp. Yeah, so there was an extra crotchet there. The A in bar 1, 2, 3 wasn't an A, it was a C sharp or a D natural, I can't remember which one. And you play A before the G minute at bar 1, 2, 3, 4. At the last bar of the first line. There's a quote there. Thank you.
Es ist Dezember und bald ist es wieder da. Um das Fest der Liebe auch richtig zu feiern, ist es für viele Familien Tradition, das Haus festlich zu schmücken. Neben Adventskranz, Christbaum, Krippen und vielen weiteren Dekorationen ist auch sie ein Klassiker in der Weihnachtszeit. Die Weihnachtspyramide. Was das genau ist und woher sie kommt, erfahrt ihr hier bei Wissen for Free. Die Geschichte der Weihnachtspyramide hat ihren Ursprung in Deutschland, genauer gesagt im Osten der Republik, im beschaulichen Erzgebirge. Im 18. Jahrhundert lebte die Region vom Bergbau, bei dem Technik und handwerkliches Geschick immer eine große Rolle spielten. In den Wintermonaten waren die Bergleute arbeitslos und da es im Erzgebirge Holz im Überfluss gab, übten sich die Arbeiter an kleineren Schnitzereien. So konnten sie trotz Armut ihren Kindern ein Geschenk machen. Ihr fachliches Wissen aus dem Bergbau übertrugen sie auf die geschnitzten Werke und nahmen die Micher-Schachtförderanlagen als Vorbild für die Kunstwerke. Aber es ist eigentlich eine Weihnachtspyramide. Auch wenn darin das Wort Pyramide steckt, hat es nicht wirklich Ähnlichkeit mit den Grabmälern der Ägypter. Lediglich die breite Bahn, die nach oben spitz zulaufenden Etagen der Weihnachtspyramide erinnern an die ägyptischen Bauwerke. Der Aufbau ist im Grunde recht simpel, denn auf einer Grundplatte sitzen meist 1 bis 3 Etagen, die über eine Welle miteinander verbunden sind. Am Ende der Welle ist das, was die Weihnachtspyramide so besonders macht, das Flügelrad. Denn dieses ermöglicht es der Weihnachtspyramide, sich von ganz allein zu drehen. Das heißt, nicht von ganz allein, denn an der Seite der untersten Etage werden Teelichter angebracht. Sie erhitzen die Luft, die dann nach oben steigt und so das Flügelrad an der Spitze antreibt. Je flacher die Flügelblätter angelegt sind, desto schneller kann sich die Pyramide drehen. Bei den originalen Modellen aus dem Ersten
Okay. Gotta do it. Все. Дубато, знаешь? Русская зима. Нормально. Русского. Еще значит, и вексель. Зубатый. Я их ходить. Два часа я сидел сейчас. Ничего не понимал. Ну что-то есть? Результат, лишний результат. Если я что-то культура языка, собака. Да. дурак, сидишь и несешь всякую химию, блин. Да, да. Ну что такая Женина? Женина тогда Женина. Методы. Грузианские. Great, great. Так. Нет, это не надо. Силуэт. Силуэт. Ух. Чунги. Опа. Опа. Сейчас.
Hi, my name is Federica Fragapane and I'm an information designer. I collaborate with organizations, agencies, and magazines designing data visualizations. You can also find my works in such different places as a children's book or an atlas that combines infographics and cartography. Some of my clients are Google, the United Nations, BBC Science Focus, and Scientific American. Data visualization refers to the charts, diagrams, or pictures created as a visual representation of information. Creating engaging designs from data and numbers is a way to help readers to discover something new, understand complex topics, and spend pleasant moments. In my process, I select topics, analyze data, and design a customized visual model so that our eyes can understand information. It is a deep focus on content and a way to define new alphabets and graphic shapes. In this Domestica course, you will learn to overlay multiple levels of information and present them in an engaging way. As a final project, you will design a data visualization piece that resonates with your own voice. We will get started understanding visual alphabets and how to shape our variables to the audience. I will show you how to use communication to improve the connections with your readers and how collaborating with other people is useful to create data visualizations. I will explain how to find the data in many different sources and work with the information found to identify variables that interfere with our topic. We will sketch ideas and search for inspiration. I will also teach you how to use raw graphs to build the skeleton of our visualization and show you how to edit and refine it in Illustrator. Lastly, we will create legends and finalize our visualizations by adding details and exporting it for publishing. By the end of this course, you will be able to translate numbers and information into rich visual elements. To follow me, you will only need a basic knowledge of Adobe Illustrator and a computer with the software. Learn a new approach to data visualization and bring information and stories to life.
Hi everyone, this is Danai, and today's video is all about how to improve your hand span in order to play big chords with ease when you're playing the piano. This subject was actually requested by one of you, and before I get into exercises and what I do in order to stretch my fingers and my hands, I would like to just quick talk about something that I get asked quite a lot, and that is how big should a hand be if you want to play any piece you want, basically. And I would say if you're a professional pianist, what you should be able to reach is an octave, nothing more. Of course, it helps if your hand is bigger with certain pieces. My hand is actually pretty big, so I'm lucky in that department. I can play C to F in both hands, but I know many incredible pianists that have small hands and that can only actually play an octave securely. And I think that in the repertoire for piano, that really is enough. An octave is something that you should play very securely because there are so many places. Liszt, Tchaikovsky Piano Concerto, Brahms, so many pieces that have octave passages, and if you're not able to play the octave, that's going to be hard. But anything above that, you could always find a way around. Either if you distribute it differently between the hands, so somehow you manage to play the lower voice in the left hand and the upper voice in the right hand, or you do an arpeggio. I think it always works. There usually won't be passages where you have to play higher than octaves for a long period of time. So you can always arpeggio that one odd chord or interval where that's going to be required. But octaves should be secure. I think that usually a hand can definitely reach an octave if you just look at finger length and hand size. So basically what I'm trying to say is almost any hand size can be the right hand size to be a professional pianist. You shouldn't worry about that too much. Now, there is a difference, I think, between hand size and your span, because an untrained hand very often only goes kind of this far and cannot get that straight line between the fingers. And as a pianist, it definitely helps to get that straight line because this is how you can reach bigger intervals and play bigger chords. I have a couple of exercises that I do and that I have been doing since I was very young in order to improve my hand span. And the very first one is that I basically stretch every finger from the thumb to each of the other four fingers and try to reach that straight line that I was talking about. So with the fifth one, you go like this. With the fourth one, you go like this. With the third one, you go like this. And with the second one, you go like this. So in all of these exercises, it's very important not to hurt yourself. Do not overdo it. It's just a gentle stretch that you're looking for. And over time, the hand will open up. So in all of these exercises, it's very important not to hurt yourself. Do not overdo it. It's just a gentle stretch that you're looking for. And over time, the hand will open up. So of course, when you're just starting out right now, don't try to immediately stretch your fingers to that. Just go as far as you can. If it's this far, that's fine. Just hold it for a couple of seconds and then move on to the next finger. So definitely don't hurt yourself. Pain should not be involved when stretching the fingers. Keep in mind this thing that you're seeing here is an already stretched hand of someone that has been playing for a long time. And then I have two exercises that I'm also doing at the piano. One is to play the interval that you cannot play both notes at the same time because it's too big for you. So it's the interval where you have to play the first one and then press the other note. And for me, that is CF. So I do that in both hands. And I just go up the C major scale once. So as you can see, I just start with the C and then go as high up as I can, which for me is 11 notes. And I simply hold the two keys after having pressed them both for a couple of seconds and then move on to the next one. And then I do the exact same thing with the left hand, only starting with the fifth finger and then working upwards until my thumb meets the C. And then the second exercise is that I play the interval that I can play with both notes at the same time. And for me, that's CE. And I do that in a chromatic scale so that I also practice the feeling of playing a white and a black key together and that kind of diagonal hand posture. And I do that in both hands as well. So as you can see in this exercise, it's quite important to vary your hand posture according to whether you're playing two white keys, two black keys, or one white and one black key. Of course, these exercises are my current hand size. When I was younger, of course, I did that differently. So I would, for example, play CD as intervals that I couldn't play at the same time and could just barely reach. And then I would just play octaves in the chromatic style. So find the intervals that work for your hand size and then use that. One last thing that I do is I add two notes in between the outer two notes in order to just also get a feeling for a big chord. So in the right hand, I use C, A, C, F. And then in the left hand, starting from the top going down, I use G, B, G, D. In this exercise, I just slowly press one key after the other, and then once I'm playing the entire chord, I just hold it for a couple of seconds to get that stretch in, and then move on to the other hand. And I try to not tense up, but keep my fingers relaxed while doing so. These are not chords that I could just press. I have to press every note separately, but it stretches your hand a tiny bit when you do that. And if you should feel any kind of pain, or if you feel like you've overdone the stretching, always go back to stretching exercises that relax you. So for example, you could do this thing just to kind of loosen up the stretching muscles. Or you could also just always make sure to stretch the arm. So for example, doing things like this in both hands. I really hope that you enjoyed this video and that you found it helpful. Let me know if you have any other stretching exercises or if there are other things concerning handspan that you struggle with. And I'll see you again in the next one. Bye. Today's video is all about how to practice your instrument slowly in a way that is going to benefit you the most. Practicing slowly is an incredibly important exercise at all levels of piano practice or any instrument for that matter. Sometimes people think that practicing slowly is only for beginners or when you're starting out a new piece and you have to learn it, and that once you know the piece or once you've reached a certain level on your instrument, you don't need to practice slowly anymore. This is a complete myth. Practicing slowly is very beneficial at all stages, and professional musicians practice slowly all the time. Contrary to intuition, slow practice actually is not easy at all, and it requires a lot of concentration and focus and discipline and attention. And at the same time, it can be such a powerful tool for your practice and can be something that ensures a much faster and bigger progress for you.
Хотите бургер с бататом? Самое важное – собственный фарш. Формируем котлету и на скалу. Булочки, чеддер и переборка. Скрепляем. Батат уже готов. И наш фирменный соус. Не дайте ковиду лишить вас любимых вкусов. Выбор за вами.
So let's start out by talking about when to practice slowly. Of course, when you're starting a new piece, you're probably going to start practicing it slowly, learning the music, checking out all the hard technical passages. But then once you've reached a certain level, maybe even played it in a concert, slow practice can be very beneficial for just maintaining the piece and maintaining that level and feeling comfortable with it. If you're just playing through it quickly, it's not always very helpful, even if you can already play it. A very famous account of slow practice actually is something that a student of Rachmaninoff wrote about. And he said that he arrived at his house for a lesson and he heard Rachmaninoff practicing. And he was practicing Chopin's Etude in thirds at such a slow speed that the student didn't even recognize the piece at first. Because slow practice actually takes a lot of patience and discipline. It's not that easy. And this is a good example of a pianist who obviously had mastered his technique to the fullest and used slow practice to just maintain it and to really secure each and every note and have his fingers know where they are going to go when he plays it at that incredible fast tempo in the end. Now, we talked about maintaining the piece with slow practice. However, when you are preparing it and trying to get to the final tempo, and you're not quite there yet, let's say you're somewhere in between having learned the notes, but not yet at the end speed that you want to play it at, slow practice can be very helpful when you end the day with a slow run through. Let's say you're in that stage between you've already learned the music, but you're not quite at that final speed yet. And you're practicing a hard passage, you've practiced it with all kinds of exercises, you're trying to get to that speed, and you've done your practice day. Of course, there still are a couple of mistakes. It is incredibly powerful if you end that practice day with a slow run through of that passage, because that gives your mind the chance to get that all in order again. You end the day on a very positive, clear note. Your fingers know where to go, and you end it with all the right notes that say no bad habits that might happen through playing it at a speed that you're not completely ready for yet. And I would definitely recommend ending a practice day when you're building up speed with a slow run through of the technical passages. There actually also was a study that was done where students were handed out a technical passage to learn within 2 days, and they had the evening to practice and the morning, and then they were supposed to play it. They were recorded while practicing, and the study found that the students that ended the evening session, the practice session, with a slow run through, on the next day played significantly less wrong notes than the students that ended it on a fast note and that were in general just playing through it fast. The students that ended it with a slow run through just gave their mind the chance to process it and were ahead of the other students on the next day. Now, once you've reached your final tempo, you can play the piece and you're also maintaining it very well. Slow practice can be very helpful to see whether there are any bad habits that you might have picked up. and to erase those, especially when you're playing a piece for a longer amount of time. So let's say you've already played it in a couple of concerts or competitions or exams, and you feel comfortable in general, but when you don't practice a piece in detail anymore and just play it, very often bad habits start creeping in. For example, for me, a bad habit is that I might tense up and I stop remembering to loosen up at certain difficult passages, or maybe a certain posture, shoulders up, something like that. Or it might be that you're rushing in a certain passage, or there's some weird accent that has started happening in the passage. So any bad habit that you might have picked up is something that you can easily check when you do a slow run through. When I feel that something is not quite working anymore, I just take a step back, play it slowly, and usually when I play slowly, I see, oh right, that's what I'm doing. I'm rushing here, or I'm playing an accent here. And then in the slow practice, you erase that, and then you go back to the tempo. So basically, for me, slow practice is a sort of reset button, a level of practice where you can erase bad habits, instill new good habits, in a way, clean out all the mistakes, all the bad habits, and refresh the piece and feel comfortable again. It also is a good way to test whether you have mastered a certain passage or a certain piece. So if you feel that you're already pretty advanced with it and feeling comfortable, try playing it slowly. That's similar to what I said before, to see if there is any little mistake that you might be overhearing when playing it fast. The next tip I've mentioned before in my video about how to memorize music easily, but playing your instrument or playing the piano slowly is one of the best ways to memorize a piece. When you can play it by heart slowly, it means that you really consciously know the music, you know the harmonies, you know the line of the melody, you know all the patterns that you need to know, and you're not just playing it from muscle memory. So definitely, if you are feeling not very secure with memorizing the piece that you want to play by heart, practice it slowly and play through it slowly by heart, and then you will definitely feel more secure when playing it by heart on stage. Contrary to intuition, it is actually not easy to play a passage slowly. It takes a lot of patience and a lot of discipline, and sometimes it is much easier to somehow get into a middle tempo or even a fast tempo where your muscles already feel comfortable because that's the movement that they've been doing the most. Whereas playing it slowly takes a lot more effort, but will in the end be more beneficial to you as well. Slow practice can be very helpful to improve accuracy and clarity in a fast passage, and also to improve your posture, your hand position, your arm posture, your general body posture. But for that to happen, you definitely have to make sure that when you're practicing slowly, your mind is completely focused on the music. Because very often when we're practicing slowly, our mind starts to wander, and then that actually defeats the purpose. The whole idea is that you're incredibly focused on that slow practice, and that way instill the new positive habits and improve certain mistakes that you're making with the slow practice. This is why I say it takes a lot of discipline and patience, and actually is not that easy. Now, one important question that comes to mind is, how slow is slow? I think that there are different levels of slow practice. For sure, I would say that the phrasing should still be there, so you shouldn't play slow in a way that you don't feel where the melody is supposed to go, and you don't feel the same motions. So the music and the character should be there, but you should definitely be able to apply the phrasing and the character to the slower tempo. For me, I think a good starting point would be about half tempo. That's a good place to start. However, if you're doing what I said about maintaining the piece and playing it extremely slowly, you might even go under that. The story that I told before about Rachmaninoff's student, I would say that he was probably way below half tempo when he was practicing that Chopin etude, for someone not to even recognize the piece. So it varies a lot, but I would definitely recommend half tempo as a very average mark. But you'll have to see and try and experiment a little bit what helps you the most. Another interesting thing that I have heard from a lot of people is the 80-20 rule. Basically, what that rule says is that you should spend 80% of your time on 20% of the piece. Because obviously in one piece there are much harder bits and much easier bits, and the whole idea is to practice in a productive way and therefore spend and focus the bigger amount of your time on those hardest bits directly instead of just powering through the piece. So the 80-20 rule basically says focus and invest time in practicing the hard bits slowly, and then the rest of the piece is going to come together naturally instead of just powering through the entire piece again and again and again, because you're going to be much more productive if you apply this 80-20 rule. And before I end this video on all the benefits of slow practice, I also want to mention one thing about when not to practice slowly. Because if you want to increase the speed of a certain passage and you have already secured the passage slowly, your muscles, fingers are in place, you're feeling comfortable, and you just want to get faster, actually then you should not be practicing slowly, but obviously increasing the speed. And then once you've come to that next level and are maintaining that level, of course, then the slow practice again is very helpful. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Please leave it a like and subscribe if you did. And I'll see you again in the next one. Bye.
Ладно, я спать тогда ложусь. Ковалёха просто сам пошли что-нибудь. Сколько? Не дают. Там где. Да, вообще. Ну, это большая истина, наверное, тоже, да? Я фиксирую. Хорошо, ну идешь, идешь. Ой, потому что смешно было, что не вечер. Все. Ну все, давай, у тебя это еще денежек, блядь. Все.